In Hudson Strait, Sedna is suddenly confronted with 6-meter waves, for there is no longer any ice to stop the wind from shaping the sea. The current seems to take malicious pleasure in whipping up waves. It's been a month and a half since the departure, and Sedna has covered nearly 5,000 kilometers. Now sailing along Baffin Island, she will once again come up against the ice.
The pack ice, vast islands of drifting ice, surprisingly full of life. All along the coast of Isabella Bay, the spectacle of Arctic life goes on, an inspiring demonstration of power and grace. Well adapted to their icy domain, bowhead whales take advantage of the proliferation of microscopic life under the ice to feed on copepods and other forms of zooplankton. 2 centuries ago, there were nearly 30,000 bowhead whales in this sector. They were hunted virtually to extinction, and today, only a few hundred remain in the entire eastern Arctic. The fat of these whales, transformed into oil, was long used in Europe for lighting. Already threatened with extinction, can this population adapt to the coming climate changes?
Near Devon Island, Sedna has a rendezvous with the Russian icebreaker Captain Klebnikov on a mission in the passage. The crew is anxious to learn the ice conditions in the central Arctic, a sector through which they must pass that has generally been spared the impact of warming. At the same time, Sedna will have a change of crew. A new skipper, Stéphane, and an ice pilot, Gerard, come on board. All the satellite maps in the world can't match sheer experience. Jeremy, the icebreaker pilot, is one of the few people who know this sector of the Arctic intimately.
So any good advice for us?
Good advice? Generally speaking, the conditions are a little bit worse than normal, a little bit colder than normal summer as well.
And a little bit later than
yes,
normal.
everything's a little bit late. We also noticed coming up through Larsen Sound, new ice was starting to form already at the end of July, which is it's quite early.
The effects of warming vary. In fact, the central Arctic has actually cooled slightly over the past few decades.
We are strongly advised to have left the Arctic by September 15. That leaves less than a month, and we still have twice as far to go before our narrow passageway through the pack ice closes up completely. Our only choice is to take the route of Sir John Franklin, who left England more than 150 years ago, seeking the elusive Northwest Passage.
For the world's leading maritime power, the stakes were high. Finding the passage would open up a new sea route from Europe to the Orient, allowing ships to avoid the enormous detour around Cape Horn.
I'm fascinated by the destiny of the leader of that fateful expedition. In 1845, at the age of 59, Franklin, a veteran of several polar expeditions, cast off from England, bent on finding the Northwest Passage, whatever the cost. He would become the involuntary hero of the greatest tragedy in the history of the Arctic. On July 28, 1845, Franklin anchored his ships, the Terror and the Erebus, to the side of an iceberg, hoping the ice would soon melt enough to let him through. But after that, the captain and his entire crew of 129 men disappeared. Ice, always ice. Enemy for some, vital element for others. On board the ship, a climate of apprehension sets in as we follow in Franklin's footsteps.
Later, a message from the expedition would be discovered, revealing that Franklin stopped over on Beechey Island, south of Devon Island. Sedna does likewise.
Franklin knew he was going to have to winter over here. We're following exactly the same route. Now we're at Beechey Island, where they spent the first winter. Today, it's August 22nd. In 1853, on the morning of August 22nd, there was a ship anchored here in the exact spot where we are now. It was called the Bread Albine. It got stuck in the ice and it sunk in 15 minutes. So 100 meters down from where we are now, there's a sunken tree mast just like ours. You see, lots of people went looking for Franklin and took the same route as us, including the Bread Albine, which is still here.
As fate would have it, here too, Sedna is confronted with ice.
It's closing up.
Yeah, completely.
You see, there's nearly a mile here.
Looking through the binoculars, that's what I thought.
The engines must be started as quickly as possible.
5 minutes? That's impossible. I have to start everything up again.
The captain of the Breadalbane had no radar to see the ice coming, no motor to save his ship. Sedna quickly clears a passage through the drifting slabs of ice and casts anchor outside the bay, which is already totally blocked by ice. Just in time.
An atmosphere of mystery and desolation emanates from Beechey Island. The ice and wind whisper memories of the tragedy they witnessed here more than 150 years ago. The sea carves strange shapes out of ice. A court of ghosts guards the secret of a painful past.
Beechey Island served as home base for some of the 39 expeditions launched in search of Franklin's ships. Traces of these prodigious efforts remain. Some of the search parties went so far as to paint giant letters on the cliffs or hang messages around the necks of Arctic foxes in a futile attempt to contact the lost sailors. But what can explain the disaster of the Franklin voyage, considered at the time one of the best prepared expeditions? Beechey Island is littered with tin cans abandoned by the crew of the Terror and the Erebus.
Mario, have a look at this. Look, this is one of the first tin cans. You see the seam here?
Donc, oui, regarde.
C'était fou, hein, comme procédé.
Regarde, tu vois toute la...
You can see where it's soldered.
They were sealed with a lead solder, a process that was new at the time and may well be the key to the crew's demise. Did Franklin and his men die of lead poisoning?
John Torrington, ça c'est le premier.
John Torrington, he was the first to die. He died on January 1st at the age of 20.
Les trois premières tombes, c'est les.
These are 3 crew members from the Franklin expedition, the first 3 who died during the winter of 1846, when they wintered over here.
Donc il y avait John Torrington.
So John Torrington, age
20 ans.
20,
William Brain,
William Bryan, age 32,
32 ans.
He was on the Erebus.
Sur l'Erebus.
yes, on the Erebus.
Lui est mort en deuxième.
And he was the second to die,
Hartnell.
John Hartnell, also from the Erebus.
Alors lui,
He was
25.
25.
C'est pas vieux.
That's not very old.
In 1984, Canadian researchers exhumed the bodies of the expedition's first victims buried at Beechey. When they opened the coffin of John Torrington, a storesman aboard the Terror, a face stared back at them. The young man had remained intact for nearly a century and a half in the frozen ground. It was as if he was simply unconscious, commented the doctors who examined him. Analyzing his bones and hair, the researchers discovered a lead content 20 times higher than normal, enough to seriously weaken the body and impair the faculties. Is this the explanation for the disaster? After wintering over on Beechey Island, Franklin's ships headed south at the end of April 1846, becoming permanently trapped in the ice by September.
What about us? What does the Arctic hold in store for us? Does it make sense to head into the unknown with Sedna? What if no passage opens up this year? What if the ice closes up behind us? Before leaping into the void, we must imagine every possible scenario. Now, we're heading into a zone where we'll have to make decisions that will affect the rest of the voyage.
Pas compliqué. Ou bien on se lance,
Either we keep going, it's one way, or we turn back.
mais avant de s'engager, on va.
We have to think about it, but it's out of the question to winter over with the boat.
If wintering over is out of the question, we better just go home.
No, but it's because who wants to stay?
If we want to live as we do now, it's not possible to winter over.
If I were you, I wouldn't take the chance. We could lose the boat.
If there's an accident or something goes wrong, that's it.
Even with 99 chances in 100, we shouldn't take the risk.
Well, there are always risks, even in good weather.
Yes, but the risk of wintering over is one thing. The risk of losing the boat is another. I have the impression these scenarios are a little dramatic.
If we decide to go on, the only way is to confront the ice all the time. We go as far as we can, then wait. When it opens up, we go a little farther, and you don't look back.
Moi, je m'en vais à Vancouver.
Well, I'm going to Vancouver, and yeah, you know, anything can happen.
Donc,
So we enter the strait, and there's no turning back.
on continue.
We keep going.
Voilà. On continue. Ouais.
Now, the clock is ticking, and there's no time to lose. We must stick close to the ice and try to slip through as soon as we have the chance.
Franklin headed west via Peel Strait, unaware that another passage existed, Bellot Strait, a 33-kilometer channel between Somerset Island and Boothia Peninsula. It's a shortcut believed to be ice-free year-round because of the strong currents that cross the channel.
En plus, il n'y avait pas de carte, tu comprends?
The following day, to be on the safe side, Jean, Sylvain, and Stéphane decide to do some reconnaissance before entering the strait with Sedna.
It's incredible.
Wasn't Bellot supposed to be ice-free?
I thought we might get stuck a little, but this...
Driven by the rising tide, ice sweeps into the strait.
It's moving in fast.
C'est vraiment étrange.
I've never seen anything like it.
Did I just stop all the ice?
It's starting to pile up over there.
It's all piling up. Looks like we're done exploring here.
So, what does it look like?
Completely blocked.
It's blocked?
Completely.
The whole passage?
The old passage.
The whole passage is blocked.
As far as we can see at any rate, a lot of new ice has entered the strait. There's no pressure, but the ice cover is dense.
It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. There are currents in every direction.
Well, now we know.
Bellot Strait is 18 miles long. We may be stuck here a few more days. It depends on the wind conditions.
Well, we're waiting for the easterly winds. That's what'll help us to move on. If the prevailing winds continue to come from the west, we'll be stuck here.
Our goal is still to be in Point Barrow by mid-September. I know that's optimistic, but that's still our goal.
The wait begins. At this point, no one is particularly anxious about what is to come.
I'm fine just the way I am.
I got the style going now. I don't want to ruin it.
A westerly wind prevents the ice from dispersing. As a result, ice accumulates all around the ship. On board, everyone keeps busy as best they can. The days pass, bringing no change. Tension sets in, for the season is advancing quickly.
Every day we lose diminishes our chance of success. September has arrived, and the ice charts are indicating that the entire north is closing up behind us. Already, the midnight sun is a thing of the past. We're losing nearly 15 minutes of light every day, and at night, the mercury drops below freezing. We must make a decision quickly.
On the fifth day, the easterly winds finally arrive. Anxiously, Jean and Stéphane await the report from the Canadian Ice Service, which has sent an airplane to reconnoiter the passage.
Sedna 4, Can Ice 3, Can Ice 3.
Can Ice 3, Sedna 4, I read you loud and clear.
Yes, Stéphane, this is Charles. Just to give you a rundown of what I saw, to the west of your position, right up to where the Bellot Strait narrows, I observed ice concentrations of 3/10, mainly first-year ice with some old ice, but the flows are small. As soon as the strait narrows, it's 80–90% concentrations.
Okay, we understand, Charles. Once again, thank you for your reconnaissance work today, and have a good day. Sedna, over and out.
Whatever you decide, be careful.
Thanks.
What's happening here is highly unusual. Now that the ice jam is cleared, and the winds are from the east, there's no reason for it to stay blocked. What with the movement, the easterly wind.
We've had favorable winds all day. It's just in the Bellot Strait that we don't notice the improved situation. The airplane noticed it here, but in Bellot, there's still ice.
Well, I think there's no way we're going into an area with a 90% ice concentration, at least not without checking things out first with the inflatable.
As expected, the easterly wind has dispersed the ice at the end of the strait, but the middle of the passage remains solidly blocked. Now the crew must rely on the strong tidal currents to open a passageway.
Well, just to let you know, it's been nearly a week that we've been here waiting. We've done some reconnaissance with the Zodiac, and we've decided we're going to cast off at 3 this morning.
3 o'clock?
Well, we're going to get up at 3 o'clock and we anchor at 4 to be at Magpie Rock by 5. So we're going to try it.
Well, this is our last meal in Fort Ross.
Bon appétit.
Musculus, this is Sedna. Come in, Mario.
Okay, I'm facing the island. From here on, the ice is really packed. It's completely blocked. It's all little pieces, but they're jammed together into 9/10 plus. There's a small current that started up here where we are, but it's really weak at the moment.
I read you, Mario. I don't think we'll start right away. I'll get back to you. See you at the boat.
Playing it safe, Sedna turns back. She'll have to wait and hope the next tidal currents clear a passage.
This time, it's all or nothing. If we don't get through with this afternoon's tide, we'll have to give up. That means turning around and heading back quickly before the ice closes off our only way out. More than ever, I feel the pressure of the ticking clock. Time passes, but everything else seems frozen, waiting for our next decision.
Sometime this afternoon, with the next ebb tide, we're gonna hope it breaks up, and we're gonna give it a try.
Can you believe it? It's blocked in just one spot,
Yes.
1 little mile long, and after that,
It's open water.
In the afternoon, the strong tidal currents push the heavy ice floes as if they were mere ice cubes, an impressive demonstration of nature in action. But the pressure exerted by all that moving ice also constitutes a real threat to Sedna.
We have an important decision to make. The conditions we're facing are ones we promised ourselves we'd avoid. But we have to decide if we're going to go ahead. My instinct is to do it, at least go that far and see for ourselves what it's like. Of course, if we do, it's harder to turn around in 6 or 7 tenths. But it's not impossible.
Personally, I'd wait for the next tide. With every tide, it clears up a little more. Anyway, that's my opinion.
I'm not convinced of that.
Because the ice is broken up here, and when it starts to move, it'll close up this part again. Especially since there's still 2 hours of tide left.
Yes, the timing is right. We have to decide quickly. In fact, we have to decide right now.
Let's go.
We go?
Everything hinges on this moment. Will we make it through the Northwest Passage? As we enter the